Good to go. Oh, hi, Caitlin. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice to see your smiling face again.
It's nice to see you too. It's been a while.
Yeah, so, yeah, really. So I'm here with Chris Miller, fellow counselor, and you've been through this before as far as being interviewed. This is a reappointment? No, it's an appointment.
No, it's an
Oh,
appointment.
okay, I apologize.
That's okay.
Okay, so the big question is, why are you interested in being on the library board?
So I've always actually been interested in the library board. I think of all the boards and commissions, especially with, well, actually I would say city and county wide, it's been the one I've always been most interested in because growing up, I personally use the Reading Public Library a lot, frequently for school projects and things like that. Not as much as an adult now, but I refer people to the Reading Public Library for a variety of the services that are provided, just in my different jobs with the county. So I'm somewhat aware of all of the services that they provide, or a lot of the services they provide, and I think it's a great resource.
So from what you know about the library, what things are good about it and what things do you think could move forward?
Things I think were good is that, at least in my experience, the library has always offered internet service, especially when I worked starting out in the county with domestic relations. We had a lot of clients who were unemployed, underemployed, or struggled with just resources and didn't have internet at home. So they frequently were able to go and do job searches online. At least back then, several employers only took online applications. I don't know if that's still the case, but that was a great place for them to go to be able to spend some time and apply for various jobs. I think the interlibrary loan program is great. I have some experience with the Berks County Library system, so I'm aware of how I would say efficient and well that runs. And I have friends and colleagues who utilize that interlibrary loan program and are extremely happy with it. I do, and I think they still do, offer ESL classes. I know that was always a service that was provided, which I always thought was a really good thing for the community. And I do know that they do some computer training classes as well. So I think those are all really good services to provide in the community. I think the biggest thing for improvement, at least from what I'm aware of, was always maintenance of the buildings and just being able to keep them open and maintained, so that they can provide services with the different branches, having those available to the community. So that was always one of the things that I was aware of was always an issue, in terms of making sure there was funding and resources available to keep them open and operating.
Hey, Chris.
Caitlin.
Yes.
I'm Chris Miller. Good to meet you.
You too.
Do you have an understanding of what's involved with being on the library board?
I know a little bit from Dennis Gahan, who's actually my supervisor, who I spoke to when he was getting off of the board, just in terms of what would be involved. You know, it's a lot of dealing with, I think, some programming, but not like the employees aren't reporting to the board. That the employees would be reporting to the director, and the director would have oversight over actual employees, and the board has almost a broader vision of just making sure that things can maintain, that operations can be maintained, and services even be expanded or maintained.
Thank you.
Okay, Caitlin, with the work that you do professionally, how do you see that intersected with the folks that you work with using library services?
Probably just, I don't know that it would directly relate to what I do now. Probably more of what I spoke about earlier with my time in domestic relations. It's a lot of the same clientele in some respects. And I think in the court system, you're dealing with a lot of people who, again, are unemployed, underemployed, struggle with just basic resources, may not have access to a lot of things, including transportation. And so having community library branches available where people can go and then also access those services free of charge, I think really helps people in the situations where I see them.
And the one question we always ask everybody who applies, it's great when people commit to helping their community and serving on one of the boards or committees with the city. But the important thing is to remember that a lot of people have busy schedules, and we just want to make sure that when people make the commitment, that they commit the time that it'll take to serve on the board, and that it's not a conflict. Do you feel in your schedule, do you feel that you'll be able to make the meetings?
I think I will. Unfortunately, I already committed to a training in April where I'm going to be out of town for a week, so I will miss that meeting. However, I do have a fair amount of flexibility with my job, and my colleagues understand, that I was applying for this appointment. So between them, if there's any conflicts that arise, it should be something where they could cover me, so that it shouldn't be an issue going forward, being able to make those meetings.
That's good to hear.
Just a follow-up question. Have you ever used personally the library services?
Yes. It's been a bit. I've had a card since I was a kid. So I actually applied for a new one because I'm not sure it's still good, but I just have to pick it up. But yes, I have used it for a variety of things, for signing out books for personal use, but also for projects over the years, and mostly research as well.
Do you have any questions for us at all?
I don't think so. I mean, as far as I know, the Reading Library is still a district center. I don't think that's changed over the years, if I'm correct. So I don't think I have any. That was my only question, but I don't think that that's changed.
Yeah, you're correct. It still is. And it's an interesting relationship between the county library system and the Reading Public Library System. And it's evolved over the years. But what I'm most impressed by is through the whole COVID pandemic that the library really re-energized itself and become much more vibrant. Now, there are some social issues with the library in that a lot of folks that are homeless or just need a place to stay have used library services. Any thoughts on that? They use the building and they sometimes use the services.
Okay. I mean, using the services, I think, is fine. If they're using the building when they shouldn't be, I think that's certainly an issue. But yeah, I think they should work to try and preclude people from just using it in terms of just getting shelter, if that's the case. But I think if they can encourage them to utilize the services where it would be beneficial to them, to maybe try and work to get back on their feet, that would be, a positive thing.
I don't have any more questions for you, Caitlin, because I know you so well that I think this really is a nice fit.
Thank you.
And I have no more questions, and thank you again for applying.
Yeah, thank you.
To let you know what the process is, next Monday, we'll be voting on your application in the full council meeting, and then you'll be notified by Kelly as far as coming in for all the procedures to, get sworn in and everything.
I do have one question. Sorry, I didn't think about this earlier. When I initially spoke with Renee Dietrich, she was looking into, and I don't know if it's a council decision or the board, that whether or not I would actually need child abuse clearances. I don't have them from my job. And I know she was under the impression that I probably did. And I said that I didn't. And she said they were going to look into whether or not I actually needed them to be a board member. I don't think it would take much if I do, because they have my fingerprints on file because of my job. But that was the only thing that I wasn't sure if I needed to go ahead and do the paperwork for.
That's a good question, and I would almost assume you would, even though you're not as in direct contact But
Yeah.
that's for Renee and the director to find out what's required, because if not, it would have been required by all the board members, and I never heard that come up.
Okay,
Yeah, there are a few boards that we ask those. Ask for those, they have the direct contact with youth.
okay,
I'll look back and see if library is one of them.
okay,
I don't recall off the top of my head.
okay. And I can follow up with Renee. Thank you. That's all. That's
Okay, take care.
okay. Thank you so much.
Be good.
Goodbye.
So that's the only interview.
And we have the thing at 4:30.
You have, yeah, so I know. Everything else that's on the appointment is the same
That's a previous,
as before.
that was only 2 weeks ago. wasn't it?
Yeah, and I don't really have any new updates for that.
Okay, so I'm gonna call for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay. And the meeting.